Hi, my name is Tiana Nygren. I'm a special educator, and this presentation is on using AI to combat task paralysis. A little bit about me. I'm a special educator and have been in the field for over 10 years. I do not like school from a student perspective. I find it extremely hard, which is interesting because I've been working in schools and as an educator for so long, but you know, it is what it is. I find a lot of joy in finding other ways to help kids like learning just because I struggle so much with school and learning in general. Overall, I specialize in accommodations, modifications, and adaptable approaches to both academics and life. And that's what my business, Sapling and Sage, is all about. I help families and kids kind of get set up for success, whether it's homeschool or in school or anything they may need help with that involves neurodiversity and functioning within the school system or family system. I too am neurodivergent and I have a low frustration tolerance with academic demands. So when I'm faced with an academic demand, it doesn't take me very long to just give up and stop. It took me until my adulthood to even begin to figure out how to work with this dysfunction. I really struggled in school. My grades weren't very good, but I was frustrated by my inability to get started on those tasks and to pay attention in school. And to this day, I suffer from executive dysfunction in most areas of my life, unless it involves arts and crafts. I would happily crochet or draw or paint or design stuff 24 hours a day. So, we're going to start by talking about barriers to success, which is kind of a buzzword or buzz phrase in the field of education. Barriers to success is anything that may be getting in the way of our ability to do something successfully. And it starts with cognitive overwhelm. So, cognitive overwhelm is something that we've all experienced at some point. It's a state where the amount of information, number of tasks, or the way a task is presented to someone exceeds their current processing capacity or speed. So, in other words, our brains are full. And so, when we get more information, more demands, more stuff to process, it kind of reaches a point where we are overwhelmed cognitively and we might not even notice. And that impacts our executive functioning skills. We'll talk more about this in a bit, but executive dysfunction is when we lack the ability to carry out a set of mental skills that help us plan, organize, and manage our tasks. Many people experience some form of executive dysfunction or barriers to success throughout their lives. It doesn't mean that everyone has a disability. It just means we all experience some form of not being able to plan or organize or carry out some kind of task at some point. So, the best way I like to explain this is with spoon theory. And spoon theory is a whole theory saying we start our day with 4 spoons, and you can dedicate those spoons to any tasks you need to accomplish that day. And when they're gone, they're gone. So, what if there's more to be done when they're gone? What if one task took all 4 spoons? So, for example, the spoons represent our cognitive capacity or our mental ability to carry out a task. And one task for somebody might be completely different for another person. I might take all 4 spoons to do the dishes, which is true. Whereas my husband, it might take him 1 spoon to do the dishes. So if I do the dishes, that's my task for the day. So sorry, but we're all done. This leads to task paralysis. One task, even the smallest task, at some level involves the steps of planning, remembering, prioritizing, starting, organizing, and finishing, which is so many steps. And those steps, although we aren't always thinking through all of them, can really overwhelm some people if they're already feeling overwhelmed. In a school setting or academic setting, my specific executive dysfunction looks like, let's say I'm reading a textbook, everything feels both too important and not important at all. What do I highlight? Everything, nothing, the words that they already bolded for me, in which case, why am I highlighting it? Who knows? I can't take notes and listen at the same time. My notes either get too color coded or I get too artsy with them and I start writing down every word, and then I'm focused on my notes instead of focusing on what's going on. I can do one or the other. If it's not interesting to me, my brain shuts off. If it's not visually pleasing, but also easy to follow, my brain also shuts off. So it can't be too overstimulating or understimulating. There can't be too much on it, but it can't just be a blank page of size 10 text because I just have no interest. And I don't like when other people tell me what to do, read, write, create, etc. In high school, it was kind of a nightmare. A teacher obviously would assign a book or a reading. It's just a blank page of text, so I'm not interested in it. I don't know what's important about the chapter we're reading. Everything is important because why would it be there if it wasn't important? And I'm being told that this is what I have to read and what I have to care about. And if I don't care about it, then nothing's going to happen. So it would result in me reading the same pages and paragraphs over and over again. No matter how hard I tried, my brain would end up thinking about something more interesting. An analogy I like to use for using AI to combat some of this is imagine trying to drive a car, but the ignition won't turn, the GPS is glitchy, and the gas pedal only works sometimes. You know where you're supposed to go. You know how to drive a car, but the tools you need to get there just aren't cooperating. This doesn't mean you can't drive a car. This doesn't mean you should have a robot try to drive your car for you, but it does mean that some help with the ignition or the GPS or gas pedal would be great, because then you could actually get to where you need to go. So let's say you have a paper assigned to you. To complete that task, you need to plan what you want to write about, remember all of the requirements and criteria, prioritize the most important things that need to be done first, start actually engaging with the task instead of just considering it, organize everything that you have in order to get your message across in the way that you would like to, and actually finish the task and hand it over. But what if you don't have a plan because the assignment doesn't make sense right now, or you've been busy, or you can't remember all of the requirements needed to get a good grade? You struggle to prioritize the most important things that need to be done because it's all important and it's also all uninteresting. You can't start actually doing the work because you haven't done the steps before this step, so you're not equipped to start. It's hard to organize your thoughts when they haven't been thoughtfully planned or prioritized. It's hard to organize if you don't know what's important and what's not. And you can't finish the task and hand it over because there are too many important things to do before you can finish and hand it in. Enter AI. You can use AI to take on a few of those steps for you if you use it in a thoughtful way. You can pick a few from the list and use those keywords to tell AI what you want it to do. For example, I need to write a paper. The prompt is blah, 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 blah. Make me an easy to follow, sequential plan that includes the criteria from the rubric, a prioritized list of steps, the best way to get started, and tips for organizing my outline. If you were to enter that into AI, did it do the work for you? In my opinion, no. So what did it do? It gave support where the underlying skills were lacking, got you out of task paralysis, got you thinking, and got you moving. It gave you a concrete plan to get your own ideas out, prioritize the tasks you were already given, and set you up to present your best work. Other ways AI can be helpful. You can copy and paste or upload an article to AI and ask it to summarize it in a way that works best for you. So it's not changing the content, it's just organizing it in a way you can digest. So for me, I like a bulleted list. I might say, summarize this in 10 bullet points. And even though it's the same information, seeing it in that format, my brain can handle. Like I said, if I just see a bunch of pages of text, no matter how hard I try, the way that my brain works, it's not going to sink in. So sometimes I'll do this. And then one of my favorites is actually just asking AI to prompt me with some thought-provoking questions on the topic so I can begin to care about it. Because a lot of the times an assignment will just be dry and I honestly don't care about what I'm writing about. And so I'll have AI kind of provoke thoughts. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I can care about this. And then I can start writing my opinions. So to recap so far, if I have an assignment that I need to do, but I'm stuck, I need to think of the steps of the task. And which ones do I find most overwhelming right now? A lot of the time for me, it's planning. I get stuck at the very beginning, and that's task paralysis for me. Like I can't even begin. So if you use those words to help AI give you the tools to do your best work, then you're set up for success. Now, let me be clear. I strongly disagree with the use of AI to write anything for you. I don't think that anything AI generated should be copied or pasted into anything. I am a strong believer in learning and doing your own thinking and projecting your own voice into your own work. I do agree with using AI to fight back against executive dysfunction, and here's why. In my opinion, humans were never meant to consume this much information this quickly. Our brains are not wired yet, or haven't evolved yet, to be able to process this cognitive load and continue on with the same level of cognitive bandwidth. It's just not possible for us. So at some point, it's reasonable to assume we will need to use the technology available to us as a tool to support higher levels of thinking. This image down here is Bloom's taxonomy. It's going to show us the levels of thinking and the top 3 levels of thinking. So it's going to start down here are analyze, evaluate, and create. And so to do your best writing and project your highest level of thinking, you need to get to create, using existing information to make something new. So to write your own thoughts, create new ideas. But in order to be able to do that, you have to securely do everything that comes before it. This is the full taxonomy, starting with remembering. Then we go to understanding, applying. Then we work our way up to analyze, evaluate, and create. Here comes Bo Burnham. If you think of the Bo Burnham song from Inside, a little bit of everything all of the time. Then we look at Bloom's taxonomy and we look at the bottom. Remember, that's our first step. And as you can see, we would need to retain and recall information, be able to reiterate, memorize, duplicate, repeat, identify. With the amount of information we are given on a daily, hourly, minute basis, it is impossible to remember, retain, and recall everything all of the time. How could we possibly be expected to understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create with all of the information we're given? It would be impossible. That's why the use of AI to help us out is inevitable at this point, and it's up to us to use it responsibly in order to maintain our ability to use higher level thinking with the spoons we have left. Thank you for listening today, and I hope you learned something new about AI and how you can use it to help yourself navigate knowing a little bit of everything all of the time.